Hey guys, we are going to try to film a Flosstube video. It is a Saturday, it's a long weekend, it's a no makeup kind of day. In fact, it's been a no makeup kind of year. I don't know about you guys, but like staying home during quarantine, which was short here in Georgia. I know a lot of people are still quarantining, but like you just kind of got used to being kind of bummy and not putting on makeup, and that has kind of become the way I go to work a lot of days now, and I'm not mad at it. So there's a big stack here of stuff that I'm planning on working on during Sampler September, and if we get to that, we're going to do that. And then I have a stack of things over here, which are things that I've worked on since the last time we chatted. So we're going to start there. First off, I think I'm going to double up on some project bags until I get caught up with all of my starts and get some things made. But this is one that I just made for myself, and I freaking love it. It's really fun and funky. And it's got buster hair on it because it's in my home. But I love this. And if you are interested in this fabric, this is Meraki by Mocha. So this is just a little mini charm pack. It's so cool. But I made this to go with Jane Hearth, which you guys saw that I started last time and then restarted. Oh, and I really like the lining fabric for this bag too. I mean, sometimes things just come together. So this is Jane Hearth, and I finally settled on working on her, and she's going to be a smaller sampler. She's one of the little gems. So I finally settled on working on her on a piece of, and this is with a 2-inch border. She'll fit on just, it's barely over. You can see the fold there. I've got her on barely over a fat 1/8. She could fit on a fat 1/8 of 36 or smaller. So this is how far I got, and I put her away. You can see the funky colors there. She's got that nice purple tulip type flower coming in. She's gonna be a fun girl. But she got put away because I had other things to do. But that brings us to the giveaway from last time. So right before this, I drew a name, and I will pop it up here. So Doris, if you're watching, I'm happy to see you too. I'm glad that you're watching. I really am. I'm glad to be back, and having you guys say that you're glad to see me back makes me want to film more. Hence me being here again. So Doris, I'm going to comment on your comment. I'm going to see if I can't cyber stalk you and find you on social media. And this, once I have information from you and your mailing address, will be in the mail on the way to you. So there's that. And apparently it might even come with some Buster and Emily hair on it. So Doris, get in touch with me. I'm setting this aside over here behind the camera, and that's all yours. The next thing I did is, I think that this is also going to go in the same bag. Like I said, we're doubling up. Don't judge me. This is my pattern for Ann Roberts because I take them apart. So it just, I love the books. I love the books. They are hefty, and I like having my pattern magneted to my stitching so that a big heavy book, like you have to put like 10 magnets on it to get it to stay. But here's Ann Roberts. I really loved her when she first came out, but I thought she's kind of funky. But I've been in a funky mood this year, so I've started her on a somewhat wrinkly fat quarter of Lakeside Linen's exemplar, vintage exemplar rather. So that's how far I got. I worked on her for about a week, and got in some flowers and that weird dog cow and the shrubbery and that giant flower. I really like it. Do you know the pieces that you start working on and you're like, I think I could just work on this until I was done and be completely happy? This is one of those pieces. I really enjoy stitching with DMC. I love the variegation that I get from others, but like this is the DMC on this piece, which they look a little rattier now because I've been using them, and that's what happens. I'm gonna cold them a little bit here. So these are the colors for this, and I have changed colors. This is much brighter than what's called for. This is a darker orange than what's called for. There's several that I changed, and if you're interested in that, let me know. But that's this. It goes really well in this bag too, so rather than worry with getting that organized right this second, I'm gonna put this over here and I'll do it later. I'm gonna take a drink of my mid-afternoon cocktail in my tumbler. I don't even know what you would call this. This is literally just cranberry juice and Cointreau. It's pretty damn delicious. Just a slight kick to it. I didn't work on Barbara Anna anymore, but we did get the next installment that came out September 1st. Setting that aside, I'll get back to it. What did I work on next? Next thing I have here is, Witches of Salem. I worked on that some more. This is a piece by the Primitive Hair. I love when I put things away and you can tell I'm just kind of ready to move on to something else because I've literally left a thread hanging off the back. Like when I got done for the night, I was just like, I'm done stitching tonight. I'm done. Gosh. I do love this though, and this is going to come out again in Dark October. Kelly and I will figure out when we'll get it out again and work on it. I'm trying really hard to be cognizant of how much I say and I think over the years of doing this I've gotten better with it, and I think it has helped me with my public speaking, which I have to do very little of in my job, but I do have to do some. Like sometimes I'm asked to stand up and give brief recommendations in court. I teach classes for our volunteers sometimes and have to stand up in front of them, or this go around be on a camera in front of them virtually. So it's good if I have more kind of a grasp on words and I don't say a lot. And it really, really made me aware the other day. I was in court for a hearing, and one of the attorneys was giving his closing arguments. And I texted one of the other attorneys and I was like, we need to do a drinking game of how many times he says during his closing argument. It was bad. But when you see somebody else do it a lot, it really makes you more aware, and you're like, oh, I hope I don't do that. Okay. I got back out Marion Bourne's. Now you're noticing that there's a lot of hats, Hands Across the Sea samplers pieces, and part of that is because it was Cozy Egg or Michelle's birthday in August, and she was doing the Cozy Egg Hats B-Day sale. So I worked on a lot of my hat samplers, not all of them, but a lot. You guys just saw this one, but I put in some more work on her and got everything finished on this little bushy thing. On the next page down, there's a little pot that this is in. And then I got started on this green wreath here. This comes around and there's a bird in it, which I'm pretty excited about. Let's see if I can't. You can see what I'm talking about there. Hopefully you can see what I see. Yeah. And I changed a couple of the colors, not a lot, but most of this is the called for DMC on this. I might have changed two. I changed the blue, and then the inside of these I changed to 3772, this color, which is more of a pink brown, because it was a straight up brown, and I feel like it's pink brown on here, because like these roses, pink brown. I really did appreciate all of the comments last time where everybody told me how much they appreciated, like when I do talk through projects like that, that you kind of get to see how my brain works and my process for color changing. But it's often as simple as that. It's me looking at a color and going, well, that's too brown, that should be more pink. Or, well, that's too pink, that should be more orange. And just playing with thread until I find something that makes me happy. This one I'm putting back in here. Gosh, these are pretty. It's a nice autumnal color palette, should you be wishing to start something with an autumnal color palette for the fall. And it is Sampler September. That you've seen. Oh, I have a finish. Small finish. It still has the needle in it where I brought it home from work. P-Roy. P-Roy got done this week during hearing, a Zoom hearing. So yeah, I just wrapped him up. It's all called for except for I think I didn't have the pink for his lips, so I subbed in the one that I had, and I didn't want it to be really pink anyway. And I made his eyes the same brown as the spots. And he is stitched on a piece of 36 count PTP Oaken. And yeah, I'm probably going to make him into a cute little pillow, and I'm pretty excited about it. Well, excited and terrified at the same time, because I'm always scared to do finishing because I don't want to screw anything up. Especially a weird finish like P-Roy. I also framed something finally during a Zoom hearing this week. Don't look at the back. But I pinned Industry is the best cure for melancholy. And yes, it is a little bit closer to the top than the bottom, but you know what? It's fine. I think part of that is how it's wedged in this frame. Let's see if that helps. Not a lot. It's fine though. I framed this. I'm happy with it. I bought this frame really cheap. Well, not super cheap, but fairly cheap on Amazon. I've got to put a hanger on the back, and it is going up in my bedroom. Kind of above or below my isolating bat, and right next to Blackened Sky. Happy about that. I dyed a couple of pieces of linen. I chopped up a piece of pale green Wexford and overdyed it. This is Rit dye pearl gray with a splash of taupe. So it's actually, you can see a little bit of that pale green poke through, but I kind of like it. And this turned out like a gray that I'm somewhat happy with. And then the piece that I ended up using for my next start, this is Saltbox Neighborhood by Cherry Hill Stitchery. This is my printed out black and white copy, trying to save ink. I started this as a Sal with Stitching May and Dana Bex on Instagram. A, because we love it, and B, because sometimes you have to help promote a smaller designer. So go and check her out on Etsy. This is really inexpensive download chart. And this is the perfect chart if you've got one of those long, skinny pieces of linen left over. With that said, I did not use one of my leftover long, skinny pieces of linen. I used this piece because I really wanted to do it on Wexford for some reason. So I used this piece because I wanted it kind of moody and dark and creepy as we go towards October. And this is the same light green piece of Wexford. So you can see how differently these turned out next to each other. This one was pearl gray and taupe, and this one is charcoal gray and taupe. The charcoal gray gave this much more of a blue tone, and honestly really reminds me of Haunted by Picture This Plus, the tone that it came out. But I'm very happy with that. There's a wad of floss in the bottom of my, I wasn't kidding, there's a wad of floss here, because I literally stopped working on this last night. Let me organize these just a little bit. These are the colors that I've chosen for the houses and the grass, and I think it's going to look pretty lovely. Again, kind of October-y is what I was going for. This wad that I'm using for the roofs, and the willow trees. This is Gassed Witching Hour. It's a new color that came out this year. It's a browny purpley black, and it's really nice. The next thing is what I'm working on right now. So we're getting into Sampler September. We're here, it's happening, wrap your head around it. What I have pulled out to work on this long weekend, I was looking for my cover sheet because I'm working on it right now. Scarlett House 7 sheep sampler. I love this. Cozy Egg, I watched her video she just did this morning. She showed this as one of her favorite samplers ever. She mentioned me. Love you, girl. And I am doing mine on a piece of Picture This Plus Murky 36 count, and I'm doing it with there's several conversions on this. There's the silks, there's overdyed cottons, and there's DMC, all listed on the back here. I went with my favorite, which is the Gentle Art conversion, except I changed the bright pink, the raspberry parfait, to cinnamon. So everywhere you're seeing the cinnamon color would have been more like this color. It's okay for my clothes, not so good for my stitching. So I'm working on this. My needle minder's kind of in the way. I got this bird in and some more of these flowers this morning, finished off this pot. I'm literally in the middle of stitching this flower right here. Then I've got a little dog to put in here, got some flowers to put in here. And then I think I'm gonna start on the verse, which I have completely recharted. The verse on this one it's done in pink and brown. I'm not going to do it in orange and brown. I'm going to do it all in brown. I really didn't like the every other word thing. To me, it's confusing for the eyes. So I'm going to do it all in dark chocolate. And it's going to delete some of this here because it's going to be a longer verse. Because I've charted off some of the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin, and that's totally going in my sampler. The Rain Song is kind of mine and Jim's song. We got back from our honeymoon where we eloped, and he was like, we didn't get a reception, so he put some Led Zeppelin on the record player, and we danced in our living room at the time. So the Rain Song, one of the verses, is getting charted on here, and I couldn't be happier about that. So that's going to be what I work on for the rest of the weekend. I'll show you my wee bit of haul before I see if I've got time to dive into some more Sampler September. I want to do a drum. This is going to be my first drum. This is Stacy Nash the Dark Horse pin keep drum. So there's the back of it. That's where the Dark Horse comes from. I have the threads for it. I can come up with a long skinny piece of fabric. I'm doing this. This I got because by all the blackbirds. And I really adore that giant house and the really weird, I guess it's an Adam and Eve. I adore that. So I bought that. I bought a crap ton of fabric from Kitten Stitcher. Some of it, once I got it, I don't love as much as I did in the picture, so I may destash it. I'm setting it aside and figuring it out. This one I will not destash. This is XJU Designs Brown Gray, and I really love it. In fact, I may stitch at First Cock's Crow on this. This one I bought because I saw someone else using it and loved it. This is 36 count Birdcage by XJU Designs. It's a luscious brown. This one is about as basic as you can get. This is Mocha Beige. Really simple. This one's pretty awesome. This is 36 count old linen, and I'm gonna fold it a little so you can see it. And so you can see just how great the color and the modeling is. This one I actually considered for at First Cock's Crow, but I think I want it on the simpler, less modeled, and I'll save this for something really, not that that's not special, but I'll save this for something that's just made for it. These are the ones that will probably get destashed. In my head, I assumed, and that's my fault, not hers, because she usually marks them, that this week's Dye Works would be the new base and not the old base. It's the old base. So this is Weeks Dye Works 36 count Confederate Gray. If you are someone who is like, I wish they had never switched, I can't find the old base as easily anymore, reach out to me, we'll figure something out. I bought this one, which is Alien from the Moon. I'm not sure about this one. I feel like for the right piece, it might be okay, but it's a little funkier than I expected it to be. I don't know. But I'm all about building up your linen stash or having things later to gift or for giveaways. This last one is one of the reasons I placed my order, and it's way funkier than I thought it would be. This is 36 count Early Halloween. I don't even know what I would stitch on that you would be able to tell what it is. And I'm not even going to tell you what I think that looks like. McKenna, look up. It's a little pornographic. So there's that. And we're at 24 minutes, which leaves me with a little less than 10 before my phone starts acting funky. And I want to go through these. So these are what I'm looking at working on for Sampler September. We'll go through one at a time. This is the Scarlett Letter, 1838 Elizabeth Masterton. I started this maybe like 2 years ago. And I love it, and it's just, it doesn't call to me, but it should. I'm doing this on a piece of 36 count dill, and maybe that's what it is. It's kind of a funky fabric, but it works for this, and I need to just wrap my head around that it's going to be absolutely gorgeous and beautiful when I'm done with it. It's great for the fall because it has all of these oranges. I need to get back to this. I think I also picked this because I had just finished Mermaid's Folly, or had been working on Mermaid's Folly when I started this. And I did that on dill. And I think this is a little bit more vivid piece of dill than what I had been used to. This one is Sarah Stewart Hardman. This is a needlework press. I worked on this last sampler September. And this is where I am right now. I'm doing this on a piece of Coloring Cotton, limited edition. It's a really, really pretty piece. Little 1/1 in there. I need to get back to this. I'm telling you, the pinks in the sampler really bring out the pink hues in that linen, and it is lovely. Okay, all right. This is going to be my Dark 13 sampler for Sampler September. This is a free chart by Magical 525. She has a blog, and this is the 2018 Weaver's Tapestry Band Sampler. This is one that my dear friend Diana and I started together, and we split this piece of linen because it's going to be a long, skinny little monster. And I am going to work on this for a few days as my dark sampler. You know, sometimes you put things like this away, and this is on Picture This Plus Bramble. Sometimes you put things like this away, and you just forget how beautiful they are. Diana, you should get this out and work on it with me. I'm doing this in DMC 4000, which is like brown and gray, and it's really pretty. So I see all of these people talking about these different like sampler walls. And is it really, really boring if I would love the idea of a brown sampler wall? Not red, not blue, not pink. I want a brown sampler wall. And I would love for it to be all these different like shades of brown or variegated browns. And I actually have a couple started. So I'm well on my way. Red Deer. Red Deer needs some love. This is on Lakeside Linens Vintage Cedar Plank. I bought this back when you could still kind of find Lakeside Linens. Finished the border on this. Finished those two top pots in the corners. And started moving down to the bottom because I want to save that giant red deer for last. I'm really into pleasure delay. What can I say? Oh, I apologize for the sound issue on my last video. I need a new phone. I need a new phone. I need something new to record with, but that's not going to happen until there's a Black Friday sale. So up until then, I just have to make sure that my videos stay short enough where I don't have to piece two together, because that's when I start having problems. It throws the sound off on one half or the other. And as much as I try to fix it, like I thought I had fixed it last time, I didn't fix it. Was not fixed. This is a piece of vintage sand dune. It's way too big for this. But once I've completed my border, then I'll cut it down. That's when I'm comfortable cutting it down. So I will pull this back out and I will work on the border some more. I'm totally copying Nicole on this. She did her Charlotte Clayton on a piece of vintage sand dune. If you're unfamiliar with Charlotte Clayton, it's all about these cats. I'm not going to take the time to fold it up. because we're running low on time. This one is a very un-Emily piece. You guys are going to say that. But this is what I'm doing for my mom because it has her maiden name on it. So this is Emma Fowler, a reproduction sampler done by Cherish Stitches. You can still find this. You can still buy it. I actually saw a copy of it, I forget where, the other day. It's so pretty. I apparently am changing some colors on this in a... No, I'm not. Maybe not. Scratch that. It's really pretty. I'm doing this on a piece of silk weaver fabric that is pink. And it's so pretty. That's pretty true. That's pretty true, the color that it is. Let me see if I've got something in here. This is Silk Weaver Terracotta on a 36 count. So if you really like this fabric, this is Terracotta. It's pretty. In my head, when I think about it, when I'm not looking at it, I think maybe when I'm done, I should dip that in tan or something. But then I get it out and I'm like, I don't even like pink. And that's kind of beautiful. So we'll see when I finish. 2 left, and then we're wrapping this up and I can get back to stitching. I had a couple of people request that I pull this one out for Sampler September, and I was already planning on it. This is Anne Emptage 1845 by Milady's Needle. This is the one where I was so upset when I pulled the colors and then started stitching this, because it is obviously in the original colors and it doesn't look like the antique. So I'm figuring it out as I go, which is one reason it's hard for me to wrap my head around it, because I've got to be in the right mindset for like really thinking hard about changing colors. So I'm trying to make this one look like the antique. And this is on a piece of fabric that I dyed myself. I would never be able to recreate it. I don't know how I created something this pretty. Not that I'm honking my own horn or anything, but I really love this. I could never dye something like this again. Man, I love this. But yeah, and maybe what I need to do one day is just sit down and really think through all of the colors and pull them to what I think that they're going to be, instead of just one at a time, so that maybe I can just stitch more on it instead of having to think the whole time.